Oh man. Okay, so this has been a shit show. I didn't expect any of this to happen. I wasn't even planning on making this video, man. But when fucking TMZ covers it, Loudwire, Rockfeed, and I'm in the middle of it, I feel like a response is in order. But before I get into the video, I do want to say I'm not here to stir the pot, create any drama or toxicity. No, I'm not a fan of the whole outrage culture and choosing sides and stuff, but I am a fan of discourse. I think that's important, and there is a conversation to be had about this. Literally, the conversation is all around a fucking guitar. This guitar has created a debacle, and I am in the middle of it. So, like the title of the video says, I got into some Twitter beef with Machine Gun Kelly. I know. I didn't fucking expect it. The tweet went viral and all that, but it all started from the State of the Scene podcast. And these guys are sick. They put on a good podcast, and these guys do a lot for the scene. But basically, they said Schecter have announced a new guitar for their Machine Gun Kelly signature collection. The Machine Gun Kelly Razor Blade is available now for $14.99. So yeah, a lot of people had issues with this guitar. You know, MGK's attached to it. The dude is controversial already, but State of the Scene also said, getting the vibe, y'all aren't into this. So yeah, like a lot of people had issues with it, including Ollie Appleyard, the vocalist from a band called Static Dress. If you don't know Static Dress, they're fucking sick. But he basically said this: I fucking hate living on this planet. The tweet went viral, has 800,000 views on it, right? So it reached Machine Gun Kelly, and he responded, words from a jealous musician who never made it. Ollie replied back, DW bro, just continue to push horrific themes to literal children. Get him. Get him. The Machine Gun Kelly fans are intense. But Machine Gun Kelly replied, and you can continue to show them how to be shallow-minded and not look at art with any depth. I've done my job as an artist by creating a conversation. You've done yours as an idiot by not having the capacity to understand my message. So yeah, Machine Gun Kelly is fighting back about this guitar. I didn't see any of this initially. I saw the guitar and I basically tweeted out this: I know MGK sucks and people don't like him, ... But what's up with the guitar being a razor? It's almost like it's glorifying self-harm. Schecter man, the scene has problems with mental health, and making tools that can cause self-harm look cool is actually super lame. Also, the guitar is hideous, but that's just obvious. Honestly, man, yeah, I think this guitar is ugly, especially for the $1,500 USD price point. Like, that's $2,000 Canadian. It doesn't look comfortable to play. And again, it does seem like it's romanticizing the idea of self-harm, even though that's not the intent that MGK means, but that's definitely how I interpreted it when I first saw it. And when the emo scene, which MGK has been trying to get into for many years now, and the pop punk scene, and he has millions and millions of streams, so he's done it successfully, I'm well aware, but it just seems like it's playing to the tropes and the cliches of the scene way too hard, and all these lyrics of self-harm and suicide are so precedent in the scene. Like, here's some examples here.
But I had plans to die.
Can I still get into heaven if I kill myself? Short diagrams of suicide on each other's wrists. Betray them with razor blades.
So emo, it's emotional music, right? It's depressing. A lot of people who listen to it are depressed. The amount of people that I know who are part of the scene who have scars and, you know, talk about their issues. Like, even in my Discord, the mental health channel is so active, right? It's constantly active. And I constantly get DMs. Like, even when posting this, I've gotten so many DMs of people telling me their stories. And before the naysayers say, like, oh, you're being sensitive or you're being a snowflake, like, I get it that strength is important, and being offended by a guitar is not the answer, but it also creates discussion, because mental health to me is not always depression or people with mental illness, but you could be totally fine, perfectly fine and healthy and successful, but life fucking throws you curveballs. You could lose your house, you could lose your wife or husband, you can lose your job. Life can fucking suck, and we need to be vulnerable. We need to be okay with this shit. We need to talk about it, right? Venting is so important. That's why mental health is important. And there's a stigma and a taboo with this stuff, and it's not cool to talk about. It's weak, right? That's the stigma that needs to go away, right? Instead, talking about it, embracing mental health should be strength. That's where I'm getting at. And that's why we need more positive influences rather than selling a fucking razor blade guitar, trying to make $2,000 per guitar too. So Machine Gun Kelly had something to say. He saw the tweet because it went fucking viral, 530,000 views. He said, "You show your lack of depth by taking art at face value. This has nothing to do with any of the subject matter you just presented. So no, my friend, you suck." So I replied back, "I actually don't mind your music, man. I find it catchy, and if you get more people into punk, that's a plus in my books. It's more majority of my followers doesn't like your music is what I meant at the beginning. But this guitar ain't it in my opinion. The pink one is badass, but the razor design doesn't sit well with me. The pink one is a sick looking guitar. I know it's not your intent like I assumed, but kids will think razors are cool, and the emo pop punk scene is notorious for self-harm. And kids are super impressionable and look up to you. More calling out Schecter here, but that's just my 2 cents. So again, I was calling out Schecter, and I've gotten a couple comments saying like, "Oh, this dude is backpedaling and all that stuff." Usually from Machine Gun Kelly fans, right? But it's because they don't know my audience is prog metal and prog metalcore people, right? And those people tend to not like MGK very much. My Twitter feed all hates MGK, and I'm so indifferent to the dude. I don't necessarily like him or dislike him because I don't pay attention to him. But I have reviewed his music in the past, and this is what I had to say about one of his songs. Honestly, man, yeah, I liked it, and I feel like some of my followers will probably want me to just dislike the song and actually warrant the same feelings as them, but no, that's not going to happen because I listen to pretty much anything. It could be mainstream pop, or it could be like very underground, heavy kind of music. It doesn't matter. Like, if it's good music, it's good music at the end of the day, and I thought this song was actually solid. So literally, I don't mind the music that he says, but I just know that people don't like him. So that's how I started my tweet. But yeah, I'm doubling down on the guitar. That's just how I feel. You know, everyone is entitled to their own opinions, and that's just how I feel. And MGK is entitled to his, and this is what he tweeted out last. "I'll never explain my art because true art is conversational and always up for interpretation. But I will say most of you constantly interpret it wrong and then blame me for your version of what you think my art is. Ultimately, I'm sad at how people perceive me in general. Peace." So if you want to know, this is what his guitar actually means to him.
I use a razor to take off the edge, jump off the ledge. I sell tickets to my downfall.
I use a razor to take off the edge, jump off the ledge, they said. You know what they go? MGK uses cheap, obvious rhymes, razors, and cut. I'm not talking about cutting my wrist, dumb. I'm talking about I use a single blade razor to shave my face because I have so much anxiety I can't sit the fuck still for 5 seconds.
So yeah, obviously a razor blade first and foremost is meant for shaving, duh, like we all know that. But for someone who is trying to be a big voice in the emo pop punk scene, it just seems like there's a disconnect, right? Because emo and pop punk talk about razor blades, they talk about self-harm, they talk about suicide, and to monetize that just seems a little bit distasteful, to be completely honest. But I'm not the only person that had issues with it. Ronnie Radke wanted to tweet something out too. "My guy, I'm not jumping on any sides here, but come on, have we gone so lost we are now complaining about a razor blade guitar because it might trigger people to self-harm, but you turn around and give my video of me murdering people with guns a thumbs up? I like you, bro. Let the man live." Honestly, fair point to Ronnie. He does make a good point here. And I guess how I can rebuttal that is with his music video for Watch the World Burn. You know, Ronnie is basically the villain of the scene, right? And so he has a lot of critics and haters. And in the music video, it's like over the top action violence of him fighting back. And so I don't see any depression or anything that's sad in that video. But when it comes to the emo scene and culture, yeah, I still feel like monetizing razor blades is not a good look. Now, other people had rebuttals too. Other commenters, usually MGK fans, they brought up the point, what about Bring the Horizon making this shirt? What about Atreyu making this shirt? Honestly, that's a good fucking point. That is a perfect rebuttal. My rebuttal to that is, if I had a voice back then, I'd be saying the same thing. And again, it has nothing to do with people being sensitive or snowflakes, right? I just think we need to talk about mental health. We need to promote more positive people. And an example that I have is Caleb Shomo of Beartooth. This dude went through sobriety. He's totally changed his outlook in life. And the whole new album, The Surface from Beartooth, is all about loving yourself and being positive.
Think I might love myself. How was I alive? Oh no, I didn't just live.
So yeah, I like the Beartooth album, man. I love its message. You know, there's some people that say the whole self-love stuff is cringy, and that's the whole thing. We need to change the mindset of why is this cringy, but like, you know, hating yourself is cool. Why is that? Okay, look, this video is getting a little bit long, but I'm going to end it with MGK talking about how he wanted his guitar to be an art piece, right? And a conversation piece. And guess what? He fucking won. Everyone is talking about this guitar. That's a win in his books. It's going to translate to more guitar sales, right? And MGK is just getting more tabloids. He's getting more publicity, even though it's the publicity that he doesn't want because we're interpreting it wrong. But at least we have our interpretations of it. And mine is that I do feel like it has a negative connotation with self-harm when you're monetizing the razor blade image, right? And especially for the price point that it's doing, and for someone who's so prominent and big in the emo pop punk scene. That's just me, but at the end of the day, this is creating a conversation around mental health. Whether people realize it, it's getting more talked about. Although we're not talking about the ins and outs of mental health, it's just getting more vocal. So that's a win in my books too. And then for Ollie and for others, right? It's getting people into this conversation that you might not have known. And if there was no guitar to ever exist, for like this Razor guitar, none of this would have ever happened. So I'm just seeing the silver lining in everything here. We're talking about mental health. MGK is going to be selling his guitar, although we're interpreting it wrong. Now I see his interpretation, but I just hope that the MGK fans or people, the MGK haters, can see through all the BS that's been going on online and just see that there is a conversation to be had. And honestly, art creates conversation. And I'm going to admit to that. I will admit that that guitar fucking created a whole lot of discussion, man. I'm going to end the video. So, but other than that, thank you for tuning in. Till next time. Peace.